Rizal's Organ Illustrated Views of the Pre-Conquest. So diri is matakil nato ang the history of Spanish colony in the Philippines during the 16th century. Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. So, Las Islas Filipinas means the Philippine Island in English and was named in honor of King Philip II of Spain. So, the Philippine Island, which means mo ni siya ang archipelago in the southwestern Pacific, including some of 7,000 kapino nga mga islands, and kini gipangalan ni King Philip II of Spain. Successos means the work of an honest observer, a versatile bureaucrat who knew the workings of the administration from the inside. So, successos means kanang mo ni siya ang mga honest observer o kanaganing na ay murag kakayahan ang isa ka tao nga maka-visualize or makabalo sa mga buhat bisan pa man wala niya nakita pero kanang pinaagi lang sa iyang kanang na-feel. So, successos nila Islas Filipinas, mo ni siya no, ang pinaka-importanting of works in which it depicts the Philippines during the colonization of Spain. Gisulat and gipublish based sa mga experience o kaning observation ni Antonio de Morga sa Mexico in the year 1609. So, one of the important works of the Philippines about colonization of Spain published by Antonio de Morga in Mexico in the year 1609. So, mauto na akong ingon kay na success nila Islas i-publish ni Antonio de Morga in Mexico in the year 1609 in which it depicts the Philippines during the colonization of Spain. Explains the political and economical aspect of a colonizer and the colonized country. The book is based on the experience and observation of Antonio de Morga. So, kini nga works ni Antonio, it is include the political kung unsa ang mga bat during sa pag-colonize sa mga Spain. Social kung unsa gitrato nila ang mga Filipino ug lastly economy kung unsa ang ilang mga pamaagi sa panginabuhi or sa economic system sa mga tao sa una during sa ilang pag-rule ug pag-colonize. Kini nga book is based experience ug observation ni Antonio de Morga. So it is also annotated by Jose Rizal with a prologue by Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt. So Dr. Jose Rizal annotated this book. Kung may nga taog annotated or annotation is mo ni siya ang kanaganing dugangan o short explanation or notes following each citation listed on annotated bibliography. So, kinsa man ni si Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt. So, kini si Blumentritt is the one who wrote the foreword of kanang the annotation of the book which Rizal annotated. So, kini nga book or works ni Antonio de Morga is visualize sa countries kamot pa sa mga colonized policies of the Spaniards regarding trade or economic systems. Next is, who is Antonio de Morga? He is a Spanish lawyer and a government official during the 17th century, historical anthropologist, author of Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, wrote the first lay formal history of the Philippines conquest by Spain, and he is a doctorate in canon and civil law. So, si Antonio de Morga, siya ang author sa Sucesos de las Islas, no? Isa ka Spanish lawyer and a government official during the 17th century, and a historical anthropologist. So, anthropologist, mo ni siya ang nag-study about human beings, social relations, and core. Next is the purpose of Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. So, Morga wrote that the purpose for writing Sucesos was so the deeds achieved by our Spaniards, the discovery, conquest, and conversion of the Philippines Islands, as well as various fortunes that they from time to time in the great kingdoms and among the pagan peoples surrounding the islands. So it means ang purpose ni Antonio de Morga nganong nagsulat is para mahibal-an ug ma-discovered no sa mga Filipino kung unsa ang nahitabo during the time of the Spanish colony. Next, what led to Rizal's Morga's work? Rizal was an earnest seeker of Bismarck him as historian. Bisan pa nga nanay book or katong work ni Morga nga iyang gisulat which is based sa iyang experience and observation during the colony of the Spaniards. But si Dr. Rizal is gusto gyapon niya nga mangita or mag-investigate kung unsa ang exact nga na-experience or condition sa atong country sa time nga nanakop ang mga Spaniards sa Philippines. Dili pa siya kumbinsido sa kung unsa tong work ni Morga. He had a burning desire to know exactly the condition of the Philippines when the Spaniards came ashore to the island. So moto ingon gaina. His theory was that the country was economically self-sufficient and prosperous, entertained the idea that it had a lively and vigorous community. He believed the conquest of the Spaniards contributed in part of the decline of the Philippines' rich traditions and culture. Then, he believed dahil nga ang Philippine literature like traditions, culture, o guban pa is na decline or nawala na tungod sa conquest of the Spaniards. He then decided to undertake the annotation of Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. So, diri na dahil ni iya gisugdan ang pag-annotate sa work nga ni Antonio de Morgas which is katong Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. His personal friendship with Ferdinand Blumentritt provided the inspiration for doing a new edition of Morga's success. Then together then with his friend na si Ferdinand Blumentritt is isa ni siya sa nag-inspired para buhaton ang pag-annotate sa work ni Morga. Devoting 4 months research and writing and almost a year to get his manuscript published in Paris in January 1890. Then, sa pila pa years and months sa pagsulat o pagpangita sa kamatuoran or sa nahitabo in the month of January the year 1890 in Paris is na-publish na dayon niya ang edited na manuscript. O diri ara day ko taman si Miss Curato. Klaro ninyo?
Klaro rami.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zila Amor Curato. Continue ko sa report ni Miss. The results, Morga, and illustrative use of the pre-conquest. So Dr. Antonio de Morga was a lawyer and a soldier in the services of the Spanish colonial administration in the Philippines and published his work Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas or Events in the Philippine Islands in 1609 in Mexico. So si Dr. Antonio de Morga is isa pod siyang governor ug siya pod ang kauna-unahang nag-publish sa Philippine history. So in the course of the centuries, the Morga earned for itself the reputation of being one of the best dissertations on the pre-Spanish history of the Philippines with the special advantage that its authors. So, ang kalian sa mga authors of historical and ethnographic works of that time is dili siya man sa church at dili po siya pare kundi Spanish civil servant siya. So, in the other hand, Jose Rizal lamented that he was born and bred without knowing about our pre-colonial past. So, gibati ni Rizal nga wala siya tingog o authority tutok sa wala niya na ibaluan.
So Rizal was inspired to do research. So pagbasa ni Rizal sa libro ni Morga is nakita niya nga inaccurate ang ubang content sa libro. So nagsulat siya og kaning annotations para makorek ang mga mali ni Morga sa pagbuhat sa the Rizal's intention of publishing the Morga anew and adding to its friendly annotations was clear. So gusto niya nga mapamatudan pinaagi sa kagalang-galang nga trabaho nga ang mga tao sa Pilipinas nga nagbaton og taas nga level sa kultura o moralidad sa wala pa moabot ang mga Espanyol. Did have a mastery of a distinct handicraft art or as perhaps in ship construction. So nag-develop of flourishing trade and did maintain a good contact with the outside world. So knowledge of their own past kailangan magpaligo ng ang self-confidence sa iyang countrymen o i-promote ang ilang political scientific. So, three things with the publication. So first is the Filipinos possessed an independent culture before the arrival of the Spaniards. So, ang mga Pilipino daw nagkaroon og independenteng kultura sa wala pa moabot ang mga Kastila. So second is the Filipinos were disseminated, demoralized, exploited, and ruined by the Spanish civilization. So ang mga Pilipino nawasak, gipahimuslan o gidaot sa sibilasyon sa Espanyol. So the last is the condition achieved the importation of Spanish civilization did not necessarily. So ang kahimtang nga nakabot ang importasyon sa ani Espanyol nga sibilisasyon dili kinahanglan og siguradong dili sa tanan nga natod sa interes nagdala ngadto sa Pilipinas og kalambuan. So with the knowledge and appreciation of yesterday, one can on oneself for. So Blumentritt describes Morga's work as the best account of the conquest of the Philippines by the Spaniards. So, apa nagtrabaho ni himong talagsaon kaayong pila ka mga librarya nga adunay niini nagbantay sa ilang kopya. So sama sa usa ka inclusion. So Rizal and Morga views on Bicol. So Morga said that cotton was grown extensively in practically all the islands, which the natives sold as thread and woven fabrics to Chinese and foreign merchants. So si Morga daw miingon nga ang cotton kaning gipatubo sa halos tanang islangan nga gibaligya sa mga lumad as thread and woven fabrics sa mga incheck ug ubang langyaw nga mga negosyante. So nag-spun thread pud sila from banana leaves. Pero giklaro ni Rizal nga ang ipasabot ni Morga mo ang sinamay which was woven from abaca thread nga ikan sa punuan dili sa mga. So Father Chirino who wrote that these cotton fabrics were sought after in Nueva España and that encomenderos made fortunes on the cotton trade. That was 31 years after the encomendes were created. So, but Rizal pointed out nga ang mga kugihan nga mga lumad is nawadan sa kadasig tungod sa hilabihang pagpahimulos ilang gibiyan ang mga umahan o gisunog ang mga weaving. So Morga was obviously fascinated with the social organization of the natives. He described origins, differences, privileges of social classes, upward and downward mobility, inheritance of positions, and so si Morga daw kay nadanina sa mga social organization sa mga lumad o si Rizal i-emphasize nga ang lumad nga babaye unlike their European counterparts is wala gid wala ang ilang halangdon nga titulo. So in marriage, it was a groom who gave the bride's parents dowry because they were losing a precious. So as expected, Morgan was critical of the system of governance, which he said barely existed because there was no powerful figure that ruled over myriad countries, most of them coastal, each with its own set of leaders. So Rizal argued that it was better that way. Why should the communities be beholden to one ruler who didn't even live among them and was not familiar with their needs and problems? So how could he have solved disputes and meet justice and implement policies if he didn't even live in the community? So perhaps Rizal was in the favor of the Curato. So one of the most laborious footnotes was about the literacy of pre-colonial Filipinos. So Morga said that natives of all the islands had their own form of writing with characters that looked like Greek or um, Arabic. So sadly enough, nag-ingon si Rizal nga dili na tinuod bisan tuod ang kolonyal nga gobyerno nag-angkon sa punong sa buhat that it was instructing the Filipinos. In truth, it was fermenting ignorance by putting the friars in charge of education. Not only Filipinos but also peninsularis and foreigners accused them of wanting to codify or imbue Pizzer in the nation, and that was evident in their writing and Curato.